You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Hey, everyone. Kind of a weird day, huh? And if you think about it, unless you're over the age of 70, you've been living in a world with a Queen of England. And as of now, we have a King of England. That is kind of weird. So, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but a monarch who ruled for 70 years, that's really damn impressive. So whether you're for or against the monarchy, doesn't matter. And the fact the woman worked until the day she died, may she rest in peace. So, all right. We'll be right back with the Dan Wickline Show. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. It is Thursday, September 8th, and we are basically doing a show for Ed. Ed Weird requested that we talk about The Samaritan, so I've watched that, and that'll be the topic later on. And he also sent over some questions about The Sandman that I said I would address, and he was nice enough to send them over to me early. And we're going to do this without Kyle, because Kyle is a huge Sandman fan. So basically, his enthusiasm takes over the show, which doesn't necessarily give us the opportunity to kind of drill down into specifics like Ed is asking. So we're going to start the show off by talking about the questions that Ed sent over. So, and since Ed is here, we can do that. Now, if you haven't seen The Sandman, overall, I think it's a great series. I've got some problems with it, some casting, some storytelling. Kyle and I have a big difference. I think they should have kind of forgotten about the Endless for the first season, focused on the Corinthian as the big bad, just hint at a more powerful force in the background, and then spend season 2 dealing with the Endless and the concept and all that. And he thought that they should have dropped the Corinthian altogether and just do some other stories that focused on the Endless. And I think the difference is that my experience with The Sandman going into the show is I've listened to the audiobook version of the first part, and he has read every single comic. So he's looking at the big picture, and I'm looking at it from just telling a story. So, but in doing so, they didn't really go either of those directions. They tried to give us an idea of the Endless and all the other stuff. And I think they may not have given enough information. So Ed's questions, I did actually ask Kyle his on a couple of these, because even though I told Ed we'd stay away from the comic stuff, some of the questions are about the history of the characters, which really is comic stuff, or it's the only way you can really describe it. So, starting with probably the toughest question of all, just flat out, what are the Endless? Ed says, what are the Endless? Are they gods? Where do they live or stay? Who was the prodigal Endless they kept referring to? Was that Sandman because he was gone 100 years? Okay. Okay, the first question is easy to answer, or the last question is the easy one to answer. The prodigal is referring to a different member of the Endless. His name is Destruction, and he's been gone longer. He up and left, and they haven't seen him in 300 years, I think it is, maybe more. So he is one of the Endless. He's one of the big members of the Endless. And referring to him as prodigal is because he might be the most powerful. So no, they're not talking about Dream. Dream actually disappeared within the time that Destruction has been gone. So that's who the prodigal is Destruction. Now, this is something that they don't get to in the comics for a very long time. And since they are seeming to follow that, there's a good chance we won't even hear the name Destruction for seasons, depending on how long this runs. So he's the prodigal son. The prodigal is just kind of out there for a long time before they actually get to it. But it is Destruction. Now, how do we define the Endless? Now, they're not gods per se. They're more concepts. They live in realms where mind or souls or whatever go when we encounter them. So when you dream, you go to Dream's realm. When you feel desire or you fantasize about something, that's Desire's realm. When your mind despairs stuff, that's Despair's realm. And when you hallucinate, that's Delirium and stuff like that. So, like I said, they're kind of concepts. They're not really dreams, but they're the embodiments of those concepts. Now, the Endless are destiny, death, dream, destruction, desire, despair, and delirium. We've met Death, of course, who, we spent an episode with. We do see Desire and Despair, who are kind of the twins. They, even though they don't look like twins, are kind of considered the twins. And we met both of them. Delirium is probably the newest one. Pretty much has only been around during the Age of Man, where the others predated a little bit. We haven't met Destiny or Destruction. So, God, it's a concept that's kind of really hard to grasp, but it's they're the physical embodiment of it. Let's see, JD helps out here. He says, as if the energy from sentient beings' collective consciousness coalesced into a sentient beings themselves. So, okay. Dream is basically the energy from people dreaming. Those kind of things. Again, I don't know if I'm the one to make that or to clarify that, but that might be as close as I can get. Let's go ahead and go on to the next one. The next question is, who are the three that Sandman summoned to find out where his tools were? I never really got that. Are they witches or something? Before I do that, Ed has a follow-up. They referred to themselves as siblings. Who are their parents, or was that just what they called themselves? That is simply what they called themselves. The Endless consider themselves brothers and sisters, but they don't necessarily have parents. There are no embodiments of their parents. It's just these 7 concepts turned into sentient beings. So, but yeah, there's no parental figures for them, because then there'd be someone to go to in the middle of a fight, and they don't have that. They have a certain set of rules that they must follow. and that they've decided upon. And those become important. And I think one of your other questions, I'll have to touch on that. But all right, so the three women he called upon to find out where his tools are, those are basically the equivalent of the fates, or in Greek mythology, they're the fates. In Shakespearean time, they're the three witches from Macbeth. These are basically the people that know past, present, and future. They know your life, and they're the ones to ask, but you've got to make deals with them and stuff. So, yeah, they're like I said, they're the fates. I don't know how to describe that concept any better than that, but it's the three witches who control life. Like I said, who see, I know in Greek mythology that everybody is a strand of thread, and the length of the thread just keeps going and going, and they can see the whole thread, and they know everything that happens, and they know when to cut it, which is the end of life. So that's what the three witches are, or the three that he talks to. But you do have to offer them something in this universe, in which case he offers them not just a snake, but a dream snake, which would be, in essence, energy. Because everything in his realm is created through energy, and it's the energy given by sentient beings. So in a sense, he's giving them his part of his power, part of his essence, that would normally become part of him, and he's giving it to them as a gift. Just like he's able to use it to create the new gargoyle, the baby gargoyle. So hopefully that clears up who they are. Now we're going to get more specific into a single episode in this next question. And it says, at the end of the 24/7 episode, if you don't know which one that is, that's the one where John D goes into the diner and takes away everybody's ability to lie, and they just start telling the truth, and it just gets really out of hand. Well, at the end of that episode, the Sandman said he wouldn't kill John for having his amulet, but then it shows him carrying John's body and putting him in bed at what looked like a hospital. I figured they'd explain it later, but never did. Did he die? Did the Sandman put him in endless sleep? What did you think about that? Okay. There's a lot going on here. There's a trick that despair plays. And that's the thing that I think the show could have done better, is that one of the rules the Endless lives by is they can't kill each other, and they can't kill each other's prodigy, their children. Now, we find out later on, near the end of the series, that Unity Kincaid, who had been sleeping all those years, was woken up by this gorgeous man with gold eyes. And we'll go with they, are the father of Unity, of Unity's child. They were the father of Unity's child, Miranda, who then went on to have Rose as a granddaughter or a daughter. So Rose is actually, I'm going off on the wrong path here. Never mind. That's why he couldn't kill Rose. Why he didn't kill John D is because John D wasn't. Yeah, Richard, I'm just answering some questions specifically. I did tap Kyle for some answers, but again, he kind of goes off, and I wanted to be a little more streamlined on this. The reason he didn't kill John D is it wasn't necessary to. And in a way, had Death not been trapped, his tools would not have been taken and eventually ended up in the hands of John Dee, which then manipulated him. That power corrupted him. So even though John did evil things with it, it's hard to say whether he would have done those things if he would have been evil without the amulet, or if the power from the amulet is what corrupted him. So in a way, John Dee was somewhat innocent, at least in Dream's mind. So that's why I think he chose not to kill him. Now, what'd he do to him? Well, once he took the amulet away, and he didn't take it away, John Dee actually destroyed it. And once he destroyed it, John no longer had his powers. So he made him sleep. I don't think he put him in endless sleep, but the idea is he just took him back to the asylum that he had been living in since we met him. Where, in the comics it's actually Arkham Asylum, but here it's just this institution. So he's returned to the institution to live out his days. Now, I don't think he's in endless sleep. I think he'll wake up and he'll just function normal and be in there until he dies. But Dream decides not to punish him because he doesn't know if he's deserves the punishment, if his actions were his own or if they were driven by the gem. So that's what I think happened there. So no, he didn't kill him. John Dee is not dead there. I don't know when he dies because he's actually the character of Arkham, as in Batman. John Dee is the character of Dr. Destiny in the comics. See, in the comics, they tapped into the DC universe more. You had characters like Martian Manhunter and other heroes and stuff show up, and Dr. Destiny was the big villain. Now, they just kind of dropped the whole Dr. Destiny name. They didn't put him in Arkham Asylum, but it's the same. John Dee is still John Dee. So in the comics, he's much more than that, and he continues being Dr. Destiny after. So no, I don't think he's dead, but he doesn't have any power anymore. So, and he doesn't have the amulet his mother had either, the protection amulet. He gave that to the nice lady that drove him to get his amulet back. So, when this came out, this was it was much more solidly built into the DC universe, and it's why later on he started doing more and more obscure DC characters, because he didn't want to be reliant on other universes and other books and stuff. But yeah, a lot of the different, Constantine, like I said, Martian Manhunter shows up. We see the kid dressed as Sandman. Well, the original Sandman, also Wesley Dodds, is in the series. So in the comics, they do get into a lot more of the DC universe. What's her name? The best friend, Rose's best friend, who becomes pregnant. Both her and her husband are superheroes as well, and they're not. They've reworked that story altogether too. So if you read the comics, you're going to see a lot more connections to the DC universe, and they kind of stripped most of those out. And when it comes to the her best friend is Lyta Hall, and I can't remember his name, but her husband is also a member of, it's like the children of superheroes. So there's a whole thing going on there. But all right, let's go ahead and move on. Let's talk about the next question Ed had is, what was the Corinthians' purpose? And he says, I asked because the Sandman killed him, but kept the skull and hinted that he might make a new one. Now, that had Ed scratching his head. Now, I did go to Kyle on this one because I wanted to know how it approached dreams and nightmares in the books, because I think that's Dream creates these I'm going to use the name Morpheus just to make sure it doesn't get confusing. Morpheus creates these dreams and nightmares for reasons. Now, according to Kyle, the Corinthian was designed as a nightmare, and nightmares are designed to bring out the part in us that we don't acknowledge in the waking world. Killer instincts, vices, kinks, and really the stuff we push down the furthest. Whereas Brute and Glom, Brute and Glom are characters in the comics, and they're replaced in the TV series by the Golt, the dream or the nightmare that was taking care of the little kid. So that's the swap when it comes to the show. Our nightmares, like showing up to school, work naked, where the Corinthian are those deep, dark dreams that you don't tell anyone about. If we confront those in dreams, then we can begin to work through them. When he is controlled by a dream, he is a scalpel, not a sledgehammer. Okay, so basically, what the dreams and nightmares, the nightmares that Morpheus creates, are supposed to help us in our subconscious work through things that are better not worked in reality, like somebody wanting to kill somebody, those desires and stuff that are buried deep down and you don't want to discuss and you don't want to bring up. So that's what nightmares are for. Just like dreams are to tap into what you do, the good things that you want, the desires. And, that's manifestation of those things. It's also why Morpheus and Desire have such a turf rivalry, because Desire feels that it's in his territory, where Dream says that's kind of where it comes. Your desires are what bring dreams out. So Ed says, so that's why the Corinthian had everyone murdering and mutilating. Yes. The Corinthian went past being just a nightmare and wanted to exist in the waking world. And in doing so, he brought forth that in people. He brought forth those desires that you're not supposed to want, like killing and mutilating and stuff like that. It brought that to the surface and started creating these serial killers. So his existence on the mortal plane is what increased the number of serial killers. Where Morpheus knows that Corinthian has an important role, he also knows he made him flawed. So he keeps the skull so he can recreate that nightmare. But he doesn't want to do it yet because he's still kind of reeling from having that battle. So he just wants to wait a little bit. So that's why he kept the skull. So later on, he could recreate that nightmare to help people work through those feelings. So, all right. How are we doing so far, Ed? We covering stuff? I got one more question for you. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll do the last question, see if there's anything else you guys want me to cover, and then we'll move on to Samaritan. Okay, so be right back.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.
Imagine being at a convention and going to an interview panel that's just for you. No bustling crowds, no hours-long lines, just you, the moderator, and your favorite comic book creators. Well, this is pretty much that. Miss Jen sits down every week with 2 comic book creators for a live stream interview about their latest work, and you can ask them whatever you want. It's Talking Shop, Mondays at 5 Eastern on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales. Comic Collectibles is here for you every Wednesday with AR Comics for two very important reasons: to sell you rare, one-of-a-kind comics that you'll love, and to confuse AR with old man talk. You see, Rex and John are, how should I put this, ancient as the roots of the mountains. So every week, Rex and John fill in AR in yet another area of pop culture that he missed because he's too young, just didn't have the time, or just really doesn't care about. It's a real public service they provide. Come buy some super rare and unique comics, while old men explain long-dead sci-fi shows to a younger man making that confused puppy face. Every Wednesday from 6 to 8 Eastern with Rex, John, and AR Comics. Comic Collectibles on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales.
Hi, I'm Seda Wolf. I'm the creator of Soulstream, and you're watching The Experience.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show. We are talking about Sandman. We're answering some questions, and I want to follow up with what Ed just asked. He says, so what was the point of the collecting eyeballs? He just likes them because he doesn't have them. This is, remember when Kyle and I were talking about the show, and I said that they neutered the Corinthian, they really should have done more with him, and shown him to have more agency and more threat, and Kyle was like, no, we should have just skipped the Corinthian. Well, Kyle's wrong, but the Corinthian they didn't do in the series what the Corinthian needed to do or does in the books. He kills more people, so he's much more of a threat. We see him and he hooks up with different people, and I think he kills 2 people in the entire thing. In the book, he kills a lot more. But the second thing is the eyes. And he doesn't actually collect the eyes. He takes the eyes and he eats them. But he eats them with the mouth in his eyes. And what he's doing by doing with that is, you guys have heard the expression, the eyes are the window to the soul. Or you can't really know someone until you see the world through their eyes. That's what he's doing. Is he's basically taking in their essence and their experiences and stuff by eating their eyes. So and one of the things that happens in the comics is that when they do try to look at the Corinthian, the people from the outside assume he's collecting the eyes. But like I said, he's not. He's actually eating them. So, yeah, see, I agree with you on that, Ed. I think that they could have downplayed the Endless a little more, upplayed the Corinthian, upplayed Fiddler's Green, which was Gilbert, and just focused more on that part of the show and hinted at the Endless, saved the death episode till the end as the bonus episode, and then I think you really would have gotten a better understanding of the universe because you'd solidify what you did see and then grow upon it instead of just trying to put everything out there and really kind of confusing the audience. So, absolutely, I agree, JD. When you get someone like Stephen Fry, you use the hell out of him. You put him on screen as much as possible, and there's so much more to Fiddler's Green that we never got to. So when he does sacrifice or offer to sacrifice himself at the end, it just doesn't have any weight to it. It's just, we don't care. we barely know the guy. So, all right, let's get to the final question. And it's having to do with the hierarchy of the Endless. Ed asks, is the Sandman the most powerful of the Endless? The reason I ask is because when he confronts Desire, he pulls his head back and looks at them in the eye and said something like, do you really want to challenge me one-on-one? And Desire was like, nope, no way. Well, Dream is not the most powerful, but he's more powerful than Desire. Destiny is probably the most powerful. Kyle gave me the hierarchy. So it's Destiny, Death, Dream, Destruction, the Prodigal, Desire, and then Despair. And then Delirium is the least powerful, being the newest. And Despair and Desire are kind of equal because, like I said, they're kind of considered the twins, and they really came about the same time. So I hope that makes sense. And it has to do with their age and familiar order, with Destiny, Death, and Dream kind of being the founding of the Endless, and then Destruction came along next, and then much later on were Desire and Despair, and then the last is Delirium, who, as Kyle says, has only been around as long as humans, which then goes, well, where do the dreams and destruction of that come from? Before humans? Do dinosaurs dream? Something to think about. But all right, those were the questions. Ed, did there anything I need to give you a little more info on, or anything else you want me to hit before we move on? Well, I'm glad it helped, Ed. And yeah, give it a rewatch. I think that's a great idea. I know it's still in the phase of deciding if they're going to do more. So JD says, I assume there is other sentient life on other planets in the universe long before humans. Well, that's just an assumption that we not really get into. But sure, in the DC universe, we know humans are much more recent. Yes, Martians at least. Oh, what do Martians dream about? You know the nightmares have fire in it, right? And that's an obvious one. So, all right. Let's go ahead and move. Manhunting. That's more on the dream side, I think. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to the other part of our topic today. Oh, before we do, though, I want to give you a rundown for next week's show. On Tuesday, we will talk about She-Hulk. And I have not talked about Thor Love and Thunder. So at some point, either Tuesday or Wednesday, probably Tuesday, we'll also talk about Thor Love and Thunder. If you guys have any questions or comments about that. Wednesday, we'll talk more about the Rings of Power. We'll have a third episode by then. I'm sorry, Wednesday. And then on Thursday, we're going to try something a little different. The episode where I talk about trying to fix the DC universe seemed to have gone over pretty well. So for the fun of it, I'm going to try and fix the James Bond universe, the James Bond franchise. Now, if you want a preview of it, I have my basic idea on my Facebook page, but I have a lot of thoughts about James Bond and how it could be a much better and much bigger franchise. So yeah, just tune in on Thursday for that. Oh. Something witty. Thank you. I appreciate the good luck. And like I said, check out on YouTube if you missed the DC one. Oh, cool. Triple B. You haven't? Yeah, I haven't seen Thor either. I haven't really been able to get out to theaters. I think the last movie I got to go and actually see was Death on the Nile. So because I've been dealing with some health issues, I haven't been going into the theater. So like Doctor Strange, I caught on Disney Plus. Now I'm going to get this. So hopefully I'll get back into the theaters soon, but that's where I'm at. Ed says, is Thor Love and Thunder worth watching? I haven't seen it yet, as I heard so much negative stuff. I look at it this way with the Marvel stuff. People, you get a lot of negativity towards Marvel, but if you compare them to other companies and other movies, even the worst ones are better than a lot of the better stories that are out there. So where people are comparing Thor, Love and Thunder to Ragnarok or other Marvel movies, you got to remember the bar is kind of up here for a lot of Marvel movies and Marvel properties. So when they're comparing them, they're kind of comparing them against other Marvel properties. So do I think Thor is worth watching? I think so, and I'm gonna. I haven't watched it, but I think it's gonna be. So yeah, JD says, I think trashy Marvel movies are just the hipster thing to do now, right? Yeah, and if you think about it, throughout history, we like to raise things up and then tear it down. It's just what they do. People do. So somebody becomes real famous, and then we rip them down again. And it's the line from Dark Knight. You either die the hero or live long enough to become the villain. That's pretty much what society does. Is you're loved and everything, and then suddenly you're torn down. Andrew Cuomo, when the pandemic started, was just revered for the way he was handling the pandemic, and then flip the switch, and now he's out of office. So, and brought his brother down with him, which is a pretty amazing feat, actually. So, something says, well said about the Marvel worst ones being better than the terrible movies out there. Was Murder on the Nile? Death on the Nile is really good. If you saw Murder on the Orient Express, it's on par. I think the mystery is not quite as good as Murder on the Orient Express. I mean, because Murder on the Orient Express may be one of the best mysteries ever written. Death on the Nile, it's a little less of a great mystery. It's a good mystery. But I think the acting may be just a little higher. There's a little more emotion to it. And it's also a very beautiful film. Again, they film it on cameras. They don't film it digitally. It's just a very epic film. So, yeah, if you haven't seen Death on the Nile yet and you liked Murder on the Orient Express with Kenneth Branagh, this is definitely a good one to follow up with. So, okay, let's get into the other thing Ed had asked me about, is if I would watch The Samaritan, which is a new movie on Netflix. Now, went in with an open mind. I am somebody who really likes Sylvester Stallone. Now, I don't necessarily love Stallone. I don't race out and see every movie he's in. Hey, Kenneth. But I like him. When he shows up, I'm cool. I think he's a better actor than people give him credit for. I like him in a lot of movies that people don't really think about. One of my favorite Stallone movies is a comedy called Oscar that also had, why does his name leave my mind? Tim Curry, where he plays a mob boss whose daughter is getting married to somebody or is dating somebody she's not supposed to be married. And all this is going on while he's trying to go legit. And it's just a really well filmed and timed movie. And Stallone's comedy chops turned out to be really good. Better than stuff like Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. So I go in hoping for the best. And, and I think Stallone is probably the best part of this movie. I think he plays the role of Joe Smith really well. I think filming wise, it could have been directed better. I think they ran out of money near the end, so the effects get kind of but it really comes down to the story and the rest of the acting. JD says, Stallone is one of the best actors when it comes to choosing projects. The man is a franchise machine, very smart guy, knows his limitations. That's perfect, JD. That's a really good way to put it. So the premise, the problem and the premise are both what the thing with Samaritan. They tell you early on the premise for this. They put it on screen that basically in this city, there are two powerful people. There's Samaritan and Nemesis, and that they were actually twin brothers, and Nemesis was jealous of his brother and was basically evil and wanted to destroy the city by blowing up the power plant. And he built this hammer that out of his own power, forced his own power into it, that would allow him to hurt his brother Samaritan. And they're both like Superman level powers, except for I don't think they fly. I don't remember if they fly, but I don't think they do. But they're super strong and stuff like that and durable. They don't have like heat vision or stuff. They're just big powerhouses. And there's this final showdown between the two of them. And neither one seemed to come out alive. There are people out there who believe that Samaritan's still alive, though. And this kid we follow, Sam, is one of them. And he keeps going to this author, writer, who is doing books and stuff on why Samaritan's still alive. And that guy's played by Martin Starr, who has shown up in Marvel movies. He was in both The Incredible Hulk, and then he was in the Spider-Man movies as Spider-Man's teacher. So, you know, that's probably the biggest other actor in there besides Stallone. Now, Ed said, I just thought it was fun. I'm so burnt on superhero movies at the time. This was just fun for me to watch. Simple, no universes, no controversy. Just a fun little movie. Was it fantastic? Not at all, but it was fun for me to watch. Yes, I think that's an excellent review. There is a twist that I don't know if everybody would pick up on it right away. I think if you're a writer or you watch a lot of movies or you read a lot of comics, it's a pretty natural twist. It's something you could see in a lot of comics. So I think that's where it's a little weak. Stallone is the best part of it. I think when he's on screen, he's very magnetic. You want to watch him. The kid, not great, not bad, just standard child actor. The villain is a little ham-fisted. He could have been better. And what happens is basically it's bad neighborhood. It's getting worse. And this guy breaks into police lockup and steals Nemesis's hammer and his mask and starts rallying people to riot and to try to take over the city. And the kid, Sam, gets involved with the gang by accident, ends up pissing off a couple of the lower level members. They go after him, and Joe steps in to stop them. Now, Joe does a horrible job hiding that he has powers, but no idea why he decided to go full Bale Batman voice towards the end. It's a choice. But, so yeah, the villain was weak, but Stallone was fun. This is not, you're going to sit down and go, oh my God, this is a Marvel level movie, or oh my God, this is amazing. It's a Netflix movie. It never went into the theaters. Adjust your expectations, and it's a good way to spend 2 hours or an hour and a half, whatever it ended up being. Ed says Stallone is very underappreciated for comedy. I first started appreciating him in Tango and Cash, then really loved him in Demolition Man. I try to watch everything he's in because you never know what you're going to get. That's good. And I agree with you. Like I said, I loved Oscar, the movie he did. I like Demolition Man was great. But yeah, they're not big sweeping epics that are going to win awards. I mean, he won an award for writing Rocky, Rambo First Blood, Rambo, whatever. Amazing. But then he kind of gets into these more muscle-bound movies where if you look at his early days, they were more thoughtful, character-driven movies. Richard says he's a box of chocolates. Fair enough. Like I said, I liked Oscar. I rented it one time, didn't know what I was going to get, and really enjoyed it. So it's a young Stallone as the head of a mob family. So, but it's not a violent movie. It's definitely a comedy. So, yeah. So I think Samaritan it's up there with Gray Man. I think Gray Man may have been a little better because of the directing and writing, but it's not, it's in that vein. It's like, okay, when you get done, you're like, that was entertaining. You're not gonna get out your pitchforks and torches and head for the Netflix offices going, I want my hour and a half back. You're gonna go, okay. It's obvious what could have been improved. Like I said, there's no big actors in it. JD, don't even mention that. You're going to put that on the same list as that other guy we don't talk about. Like I said, Martin Starr is probably the second highest ranked villain or actor in the show. I haven't heard of anybody else who's in it. I mean, Sophie Tatum, Pilou Asbeck as Cyrus, the bad guy. Javon Walton is the kid. Dasha Polanco looks to be Sam's mom. Moises Arias is Reza. Again, none of these are actors that you go, oh, I know him in X, Y, and Z. And, she's from these shows and stuff. Yeah. The kid was in season 3 of Umbrella Academy. Fair enough. I have not seen that yet. I have not had a chance to watch season 3 yet. But so yeah, I think Samaritan is a decent story idea. It could have used another pass on the script by maybe somebody else to punch it up a bit. I think they could have gotten a better villain. Somebody that is more charismatic on screen. But other than that, it is exactly what you think it is. So Ed says, one of these days I need to find out this mystery person you won't let mention. Is it Voldemort? The mystery person that JD is not supposed to bring up is a writer who is basically responsible for Marvel's The Inhumans and the first season of Iron Fist. He's the showrunner for both of those. He was also the showrunner at the end of Dexter. And yeah, it hasn't worked since. So that's all I will say about that. If you want to look him up, you can, but we just don't mention his name on air anymore. So we can just go ahead and add that series that you made me watch. Sorry. You said I should give a few more episodes to. And we'll just... Only thing better would have been had he been the showrunner for that. Because then I think the show would actually have imploded. and suckiness. Well, I'm glad we were able to hit these topics for you, Ed. And I hope that it helps some other people too. I mean, Sandman was a little bit complicated. They could have done a better job of kind of trimming it down and making it a little more accessible. And I think Samaritan, like I said, was a fun movie. It's not a great movie, but it's fun. So, all right, let's do our last commercial break. We'll come back and we'll wrap up the show. All right, stick around.
Thanks for tuning into The Experience. Help us out and hit subscribe over on YouTube and click the bell when you do. Need some help? Scan the QR code in the bottom corner.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit ComicShopLocator.com to find a store near you.
Are you a comic creator? Are you a publisher? Do you make a comic book product? Do you own a retail store? Do you do something I haven't thought of? Who are you and what do you do? Let us know by advertising on The Experience and invite our viewers to patronize your product. Message the EXP on social media or email us the_EXP@yahoo.com for more details.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Whenever we have a break, I hop over and I check the latest news just to make sure if anything breaks, I can share it with you guys while we're on the air. And this one just kind of blows my mind a little bit. Deadline is reporting that 2 new actors have joined Star Trek franchises. Billy Campbell, who, of course, played the Rocketeer in the amazing movie by Joe Johnston, he's going to be added to the voice cast of the upcoming animated series Prodigy. That's cool. Love Billy Campbell. The one that blows my mind is of Carol Kane. Carol Kane from The Princess Bride, Miracle Max's wife, from just a ton of things, probably most recently from Gotham as Penguin's mom. She's joining Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and she's in season 2, and she's going to be playing a character named Pelia, Pelia. She is a highly educated, intelligent engineer that suffers no fools. She solves problems calmly and brusquely, thanks to her many years of experience. Yeah, Carol Kane is joining Star Trek Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and I think that's fascinating as hell. I forgot to mention, I cannot find Karma anywhere. All the stores say September 20th, so I guess I'll have to wait. I don't know why that is, because I know a lot of shops got them, comic shops did, but it could be that just getting them to like Barnes & Noble and Amazon is going to take an extra week or two. So from When a Stranger Calls, just found that out recently. What? I don't know what you're talking about, JD. All right, we are going to wrap that up. Let me go ahead and give you guys a rundown of, you want to stick around. We got a great lineup here on the experience today. Starting up right after this is What's in the Box with Miss Jen. And I just love the idea of the show. She just randomly grabs a box out of the warehouse, opens it up, and sells what's in it. Then at 8 p.m. Eastern, we have Space Cadets, which comes from Jen's store, but it's run by Jenna and the crew from there. At 9 p.m., we have the worst named show on the network, which is Nerdcular Warfare, which is the game show. And then at 10 p.m. Eastern, we have Kicking It with Henri. So Henri is back tonight, and we'll be doing his normal rundown. JD says, Carol Kane starred in When a Stranger Calls. The original call is coming from inside the building. Yes, she did. So, all right, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. Next week, like I said, we'll talk She-Hulk, Thor Love and Thunder, The Rings of Power, and then on Thursday, we're going to do Let's Fix James Bond. And I've got some really big ideas, including casting of the new James Bond and how to make the franchise bigger and better. So you'll want to come by for that. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hey, do me a favor. If you haven't, hit the like button, the subscribe button, those kind of things. And also, if you haven't signed up yet, consider joining our membership thing, member services, because we got a lot of big things planned for it. And, you might want to jump in on that. So, hey, look, there's a QR code suddenly over there. And that might be for membership services. You guys know that you definitely want to, anytime you see a QR code in a Marvel movie, you want to click on it because it's going to give you a free comic book. But, yeah. All right, guys. Triple B, Ed, JD, all you guys, thanks for tuning in. Spread the love. Tell people about the show. Try to get them come on over or show them where we are on YouTube. And I will see you guys next week. Have a great one.
Get the inside scoop on everything happening at the experience every week. Join our mailing list by scanning the QR code at the bottom of the screen and then watching your email inbox.